All right, we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Reissued. We are live. I did my first live almost 2 months ago, and it got a really nice response. And so I thought I would hop on a live tonight. Just a couple of things before we get started here. First of all, I know this live was a little bit short notice. I actually had a really interesting comment on a video about 24 hours ago that I read, and I was like, I really want to talk about that. I was about to write a really long, detailed response to that comment. It was a really lovely and thoughtful comment. But I thought I would hop on a live instead and be able to sort of chat with you guys about it that way instead. Um, so if you are missing this, be sure that you're following me over on Instagram. That's probably the best way to keep up with it. I'm also posting in the community chat, but I don't know, like I always find that's hard to find within the YouTube space. So on Instagram, I am at the Andrew Harper. So be sure that you're following me there if you're wanting to not miss the next live. Also, I'm coming to you from Boca Raton, Florida. I'm here doing a dance gig. I'm here for 10 days. I've just been in rehearsal all day. I'm going to be performing in the Nutcracker with Boca Ballet Theater. I did my first Nutcracker here 9 years ago, and so I'm back in the swing a little bit more dancing now, and so I'm very, very happy to be here. So coming to you from Florida. Be sure that you drop in the comments where you're coming from, and also if you have thoughts about what kind of content you like best from me, which videos, which projects you enjoy best, go ahead and drop that there as well. I am definitely curious about, I don't know, this whole video is about your feedback. So I would love to hear that to kind of get us going here. Also, just a couple of logistical things here before we get started. I had someone in the last time I did a live stream asked about like the super chats or whatever. That feature is enabled, so you can definitely do that now if you want to. I don't know how all of it works. I know that someone, a lovely subscriber, Gabby, did a tip on one of my videos recently, and actually saw very little of that money because YouTube takes a cut, and then if you do it through Apple, Apple takes a cut. So if you want to do it that way, that's great. If you are just looking for a way to support me, I am going to drop a link here in the chat. This is to a product on my website, the Unclaimed Thoughts art card set. I have gotten a lot of orders for these. They're really easy for me to ship out. These were collages that I did that are printed on little cards. I love sending and receiving art cards because I think it's such a beautiful way to have someone hold on to not only the beautiful thoughts that you put inside, but also be able to have like a piece of art to frame. Um, so yeah, you can definitely check that out and place an order there if you're looking for a way to support me and my channel. One more logistical thing here. I have had some people that were curious about when I do art videos and post that on my website, am I able to ship internationally? I absolutely am able to ship internationally. I don't have a way set up through my website to do that. So if you are interested in receiving something internationally, just be sure that you send me an email. My email is reissuedstore@gmail.com. Just email me and we can try to figure something out about getting it to you all over the world. All right. So with this video and sort of spurring on from this comment that I will be talking about a lot, um, I one of the things that I found in my career as a choreographer when I first started doing it, one of the reasons that I got into choreography was that there's a lot of different elements that you can do within the work. So I was choreographing the piece, I was directing, sometimes I was dancing it, I was doing makeup on people, I was doing costumes on people. And that was great because I know I have a lot of different interests and skill sets. And so I was able to feed that from a number of angles. That grew to be quite difficult because not only is that a tremendous workload to be just on one person through that, the process of putting on a show or making a film. Um, but also, I find that when you don't have anyone to sort of bounce ideas off in the creative process, you can get very kind of caught up in your own head and your own ideas and like fixate on things that aren't really important and let things slide that are important. So as I started to work more on dance for camera, I started getting involved with other collaborators, particularly my friend Katie. We made a lot of films together, and it was really nice for the first time to sort of have someone to bounce ideas off of. And in the process of brainstorming in that way, um, you can really tap into which ideas am I willing to compromise on that really aren't that important, and which ideas are the things that feel super important to me and I'm going to fight for. And it sort of helps clarify that process a little bit. Um, so here on my channel, I have been really grateful with my parents, in the videos that we work together. It's really nice. To have their feedback. We have a lot of back and forth when we're planning for a project. And I find myself sometimes I get very fixated on little details, and they're like, Andrew, just let it go. It's not that big of a deal. And sometimes I'm okay with that. Like, sometimes you just need to hear that from someone and you can just push it off. Or you say, like that's a detail that we really need, and you start to fight for that, right? I'm very aware that here in the way that I run my channel as a YouTuber, I have no feedback in that way. I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. I do get interesting feedback in the comments from you all, which is why I wanted to reach out, because I feel like I'm a bad YouTuber, not not in the sense that I feel bad about the content that I'm creating. I feel like I'm happy with the projects that I'm doing. I'm happy with the quality of my videos for the most part, but there are certain things that I feel really slide through the cracks in terms of like, I don't know, we'll get into this, but it's very different to be an artist or a creator and to make a good product versus knowing how to sell it through YouTube, right? And like the marketing aspect of that. So that's where I'm going to get into this comment that was commented last night on my last live video by someone named Sprig of Broom is their channel name or username or whatever. And it was a very thoughtful comment. And so I wanted to read some of this and respond to it for you live, just to kind of get sort of an idea of where my head is at, because this hits at a lot of different points. All right. So I'm going to start here reading. I have a lot of respect for you because of your natural talent to be good at dance, design, art, craft, clearly a genius, and to be so down to earth and genuinely humble and nice is a rare occurrence. Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe you're not YouTube famous yet. This is something that I hear a lot in the comments of like, why has no one found you yet? Like, why don't you have 1 million subscribers? Yeah. So they said, but you're in a different league. I don't know if you would consider it selling out, but I'd love to see a line of interior decor at a big store curated by you. I realize it's like putting the cart before the horse at this point. You need to get more exposure first. So yeah, absolutely. It takes a while to get to the level of brand deals at that level. Right now, for me, brand deals, I have, for a while, I was getting a lot in my inbox, like around the time that my channel was really starting to take off. Problem feeding as long as it's something that I feel I would kind of be gravitating toward anyway, because a certain onus to you to be authentic in my taste level. So yeah, I don't feel that it's selling out to do a brand deal. Okay, so now we start to get into sort of comparison here. So some of the non-professional YouTube interior designers who also use vintage pieces successfully, like Lone Fox, for example. He has a live-in manager, professional photo shoots of the finished rooms, and curated collection of decor items produced by other companies but featured on his website and mentioned in his videos. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Now that he has well over 1 million subscribers, he's personally designing / curating collections like he did for Desenio. And Drew, although extremely talented with a keen eye for design, is not trained in the field and isn't an artist. Another example, McKenna XO. So I'll just drop here that when my kitchen video really took off, I got a lot of people sort of saying like, oh, your content has been made before. About McKenna. She has a university degree in marketing. Bingo. But she's also not an artist and not trained in interior design. Her winning strategy is a reality TV style regular posting 3 times a week. Not all of it is makeover and intense remodeling content, although some of it is, maybe 15%. But it's a story with her mom and dog featuring, it appears to be wholesome, pleasant, and positive, with a lot of product placement. She's curating a collection for a department store now, and it just came out with her own signature luxury candle collection. Her family are already multimillionaires, which she's careful not to mention, but I don't think that's a deciding factor in her success. You, Andrew, are just as talented, if not more. Thank you. But also, here's kind of my problem. Okay, so I think one of the things, if I can just like sort of go on a tangent here for a moment, I think one of the things that's hard when people like to say like millennials or Gen Z are really lazy when it comes to having no work ethic to like work in a normal place, right? And I think it's very hard to sort of have come to adulthood during a time when you know, you see certain people that they make one kind of random video and suddenly they have a massive following and are able to make income based on that one thing kind of skyrocketing. And that's not to say that it's easy to be a content creator. I know that, you know, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it. So it's not to um, belittle that in any way. But I think it's hard where it feels like if you are within the content creation space, it should be so easy. You should be able to make that thing that makes you big, and you should. It's you know it feels like things should be taking off in a way, and if it hasn't for you, you're somehow failing, right? Um, so it's difficult when that comparison is made to those types of creators because, as she mentioned, Drew does have a live-in manager. I would bet that both of them have editors that do all of their editing for them. At this point in my life, I am not making the income on YouTube to be able to afford a team in that way. And so I'm doing as much work to put out a video with no team, and I'm making a fraction of the money that they're making in that way. And so I think part of my question for this series is I do feel I'm at a place in my life where I feel a bit overwhelmed by the YouTube space in the sense that there are certain videos that I'm going to make regardless because, you know, my home renovation is happening. And I've sort of felt that that's almost a hobby in the sense that I'm renovating my house. I'm going to make a video about it and share it because why not? Like, that's only the editing time that I'm losing in that way. But when it comes to being a YouTuber and uploading weekly because people want to see regular content, that is proving to be very difficult for me to maintain a sense of balance in my life. And so, part of my questioning here that we'll get to is about where I should be prioritizing my time and what is sort of the greatest benefit to you all, the viewers. What are you really wanting to see from me? Um, Okay, moving on here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit in the comment and come back. So they at this point they give me really constructive feedback on my channel, which I appreciated. And one of their points was not everything has to be arty. Straight 5 minutes of talking with you sitting on your porch with a cup of coffee is a nice balance. Tell us your thoughts and ideas and design process, what you envision. Um, so this is where I'm going to get into a little bit of. It's hard for me with again, planning out my content because this is something that my parents have said before. They're like, "Oh, it's just so interesting when you talk about, like, what you're working on or, like, you know, various aspects," and people have said, like, "We wanna hear more about your dancing," or, "We wanna see more with Queenie," or, "We wanna do these various things." I think it feels, if we're taking specific examples, for instance, my last video that I uploaded with the French cleat shelving system, that was a very it was a lot of work to put out that video because it was a very in-depth process for creating the room, and it was a very in-depth process for editing because there were a lot of different things to touch on. But it was a win across the board for me because I wanted to do that anyway because I'm renovating my house, and it seems that a lot of people really respond to my home renovation content primarily. Like that's where I tend to see the most views, and so people like are you all are excited about watching that, and that also means that I'm making the most money on it. So that for me across the board is like it's a lot of work, but I'm seeing a return on that. When it comes to uploading weekly. I think people have suggested that I do more sort of talking head content or more just sharing what's going on with my day or whatever. And those are hard videos for me to want to make, partly because I'm going outside of my way to make that content versus just living my life and turning on the camera. It also is a thing with that becomes primarily about editing, which is my least favorite part of the process. And also those videos seem to be the lowest performers on my channel. So like that feels like a lose-lose across the board. But then if I'm going to upload weekly, which is what everyone says you need to do to be a good YouTuber, then I can't churn out a home renovation video every week, right? So that's where I sort of am on the fence about like what I need to be doing. So I appreciate this. If you all want to hear more about me and just talking about my life, that's great. Let me know specifically what you want to hear about because it's a bit. Here's the other thing too. I think in addition, like uh, to not having an editor just as a workload thing, it's also difficult. I remember I think I saw something with, Simply Nailogical. She's a huge YouTube creator. I was watching her content really regularly for a while. It's just, like, fun, like, silly nail art videos, and I remember her saying, like, in her podcast or something off the channel that she doesn't edit any of her own videos. I think her, boyfriend, Ben, does a lot of editing for her because she said, "I feel really weird watching myself on camera and, like, editing myself, like, it feels uncomfortable for me." And I think when I'm editing a video about something that I'm making, I have no problem doing that because it's not about me, it's about what I'm making. But as soon as I start to get into more content that are like, "Let me tell you about my life," or "Let me tell you about my ideas about design," I start to feel a little bit self-conscious in the sense of, like, how much do I leave in? If I mess up in my talking, do I leave that in? Like, that video where I cried, I'm like, I feel, like, really weird, like, I think it feels right to leave this in, but it's just hard to not have an outside eye looking at you and analyzing, like, what feels like the right amount of personal, you know what I mean? Um, so that is something that has been on my mind a lot, and I think it also is a question of personal boundaries. I think I might have mentioned this in my last live, but I get a lot of people say like, "Oh, we want to hear more from your parents, and introduce them, and we want to hear them more talking, and all of that." Um, they didn't really sign up to be YouTube famous. Like they are happy to help me with my home renovation, but I just want to be mindful of their privacy. And I don't think I signed up to be YouTube famous either, but that kind of goes with the territory. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of my question here. I'm gonna keep talking for a bit, and then I'll go through the chat here and see how you're responding. I really appreciate your comments so far. Um, if I go back in her comment a bit, if I were to make a suggestion, it would be these things. When you finish your transformations, do longer showing of finished work. Panning, slow down, speed of playback. Look at what professional videographers do presenting before and after. McKenna shared that she's learned to do that. It's a reward to the viewers for watching through the long video. We want to savor those beautiful after images. So that if you have thoughts like that, by all means, I would love to hear. That is something that's so easy for me to make a change on. I absolutely will be implementing that. I think I am personally someone that when I watch other people's content, I kind of get to the after and I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I click away from the video. So that's how I'm editing it. That's how I'm seeing it. But I'm hearing that you all want to see more of the after. And so I'm happy to do that. Um, let's see. As you do voiceovers over your shots of sanding down, painting, sewing, etc., share more of you. We want to know about your childhood dreams, fears, and worries. We want to know how you got into ballet, how it makes you feel to be on stage. Um, so my thoughts about this in general, I am not opposed. I think there was a time that I was pretty good at like talking about other things while like showing like things like less exciting, painting, sanding, those sorts of things to kind of keep the video pace moving. I think at this point, I'm like, when I'm writing a script for a voiceover, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much to do. Let me just write down. Did I get all the basics of what's happening? Am I hitting all the points? Okay, that's good. And I think that's sort of a theme across the board. I just feel tremendously busy, and I'm trying to. I'm just trying to put all the pieces together of my life. Various career things across, trying to get back into more choreography and getting back into my dancing and having a personal life with my family. And, um, I don't know. So I think I'll take that on as a comment. I think it's just hard. I'm at a point now where it's hard to find the time, to be honest. Um, Another suggestion, do a collection of professional looking photos as though you're writing an article about your home in a top interior design publication. Um, so this is the other thing. When I say I'm a bad YouTuber, I think again, if we're deciding between what it is to be good at content creation in the sense of I have so many ideas for projects and I have a relatively good skill set in terms of sewing and painting and home renovation and design. I don't have a lack of confidence in my ability to do those things. I know that sometimes in my process videos, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm figuring it out. And that is how I feel at the time. But it's very rare that I put out a video that I don't feel really happy about the product that went out. I'm really confident that it's good. But when it comes to videos, technology is just not something that I really like. It's funny when I think about to when I was in college and I was in dance school, I would literally leave my phone in my dorm room all day. People would try to get in touch with me. I'm like, hey, my phone's at home. Like I struggle with the technological aspect of it, and I think that there are some YouTubers. Again, when they said McKenna comes from a marketing background, like if you know how to work with a camera and you know how to make the right thumbnail that's eye catching and you know how to make the right title for the video that's just enough clickbait that you want to click on it, but not so much clickbait that it feels like it's like you got scammed. It's all of that sort of thing that I have a little bit I've learned a little bit more about it, and I think that use that technique, honestly, like with my kitchen video that did so well, titling the video "Why I Hate Trends," like that was a very strategic move that worked. Like that was my first video to really blow up. Um, I think as I feel really busy and I try to keep my focus on making really good projects, I just don't feel like I have the bandwidth to not only like make a good project, but then also like figure out the strategy of how to sell it as a video that will be seen by many people. And that really is the game. It doesn't matter how good your content is. There, in some ways, there has to be some sort of like incorporation into what the algorithm is looking for, and I just feel like I have a limited bandwidth on how to do that. Additionally, like she talks about professional quality photos and that sort of thing, and I have gotten people that have mentioned before, like changing my sound quality, that sort of thing, and I absolutely agree with that. I think the standard on YouTube of what we're looking for in terms of video quality and sound quality is just it has just blown up because people that have been on the platform for a long time have sort of grown up with that and have really tremendously our standard of what we're watching has been raised. It's hard for me. I bought a new camera with a built-in mic with a better sound system and all that like 2 months ago, and I have yet to use it in a video because I feel intimidated by it. I don't know how it works. I'm worried about getting the footage to my computer. Like today I'm editing a video that's going live this week. I tried to move all of the footage into my editing software, and like half of the files were corrupted, and so I had to I had to go and move all of them again. It's just that sort of thing that I have very little knowledge of and very little patience for, and so it just makes it's just all of I just feel overwhelmed by that, if I'm being honest. Um, so yeah, just to conclude this comment here, create a Pinterest account because your house is Pinterest worthy. I do have a Pinterest account. It is the Andrew Harper as well. I don't upload very often because I have a hard time sort of splitting my time. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to someone about this recently. I think he's like, "Oh, you're really good about like doing a lot of different things," and I don't think of myself in that way. And he said, it requires a lot of sort of bandwidth and energy to switch from one mindset to the next. And so that is a lot of how I feel, where I literally feel like I'm jumping from one mind to another, like coming from rehearsal to here. I'm switching into YouTube mode. But then if I'm going to get on Instagram and deal with that as a platform, if I'm going to get on Pinterest and deal with that as a platform, if I'm going to make a project versus editing a project, it's just there's a certain like delay that happens in terms of switching your mindset to focus on new things. So I absolutely agree. Pinterest would be great. Will make more of an effort to upload there. Um, and so just to conclude with that comment, you are a big enough deal to be influential on the modern design of the second quarter of the 21st century America. You are up there with Lone Fox. There's a possibility to introduce your work to another part of the world if you were interested, but that's not to mention the public space. So yeah, they just have a lot of really complementary things, which is fantastic. But yeah, I think this is just sort of gets to the heart of a lot of sort of things that I'm feeling. And so now I'm going to jump into your comments over here, and just as if you were my manager or my artistic collaborator, just let me know honestly in the comments. Like, I have some questions here. I'm going to jump to see what you guys are saying first, and then I'll jump to my questions specifically. All right, let me scroll back here. UPS is a lot cheaper than postal shipping internationally. Good to know. Picture quality is not good right now. Yes, it is not good right now. I am in the dark and using my webcam, so that's the best it's going to be. I'm sorry. People like the DIYs, excellent. You need better upload speed to do streaming. Quality isn't there. Okay. Why do people need to compare you to others? Who cares? Just do your own thing. These other people are artists in their own right. I would agree with that. You talked about how to make art that looks good with interior design. I feel like there's more in that topic, how to be creative and how to make that apply. Target that topic more. Okay, good to know. McKenna and Lone Fox have been YouTubers for years. No one should compare you to either of them. Yeah, they have been in the space for a long time. I have been on YouTube for over 3 years now, so I'm not nearly as long standing as they are, but that does make a difference. Um, I'd like to watch you landscape your house. Nice. Um, I think there's an content that we'd like to see. More importantly, what is content that you love doing and feels the most natural for you to put out, and what content are you comfortable doing? So my question with you, one of my questions that I want to jump into here is, uh, so I did this was maybe early 2022. I did some sort of like virtual workshop seminar about like how to get to 1,000 subscribers. This was before my channel was a little bit larger. Um, and one of the things that they said is they're like, you need to be uploading weekly. Like if you can upload weekly, do it weekly. And I've seen that feedback everywhere. So my question is for you, would you rather be seeing really regular uploading from me, or would it be okay to take more time and to only put out sort of the more specific content and like renovation content? Thoughts on that? Maybe you want to consider working with other creatives. Um, Possibly, I'm not sure what that would look like within the YouTube space right now for me, or with the kind of home renovation content I'm doing. I'm not sure. Have you considered picking one design element that you enjoy and just geeking out about it once a week? I love your aesthetic and would watch you talking about how you curate your personal collection. I like that idea. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. Lisa always has good ideas. Um, Stop by to show you some support. Hard to run a channel, publish videos, especially with your type of content. Okay, keep up the creativity. Thank you. Um, Probably in the minority here, but I'm here for the men's fashion. Your stuff's interesting, and your non-fashion videos, I'm always paying attention to what you're wearing. Yeah, that was the thing that I did early on my channel, with men's fashion. I think, I it's hard for me now. It's not that I'm not interested in doing that. It's just that, finding the time to sort of zero in on those projects, and then also, I don't know that that's what the majority of my audience is looking for now, and so it's sort of like, is it worth it to put that out there if it's not gonna have the viewership? Again, that's tricky. Also, McKenna and Lone Fox do YouTube full time. You have other things going on. Yeah, that's a big part of it too. I am still working at the Restore, and with my dance career now, that's part of my timing of this. I'm here in Boca for these 10 days, and then getting into next year, I'll be in Chicago for 2 months dancing at Lyric Opera. And so there is going to be a sort of a shift that happens in my content during that time, just because I will not be physically at my house. And so that will be trickier. At the end of the day, you can't overthink any of this. Just need to keep uploading whenever you can. If it doesn't pay, then it doesn't pay. I hope it does, though. It's just an algorithm thing. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, but I think there's an element of I don't know. I just think that there are things that I can be doing more strategically. Like, when I look at some of my videos, I'm like, this could have had a wider reach if I had done the research to make sure I was hitting the right buzzwords in the title, or making the thumbnail look a certain way. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Feel free to disagree, but I think there just seems to be a certain level of like finesse in that way that I wonder if having a manager or an agent or someone that has that kind of mind toward marketing would be helpful for me. Um, you could tweet the links to your vids, and your followers could repost if you're looking for more views. I don't have a Twitter account now. Possibly that would be a good thing. Thank you for that tip. I just should have started my own channel this year after years of planning to do it, coming up with different ideas and concepts. However, none were possible with my workload and life. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's funny, they mentioned Mechanic XO's family. She comes from a very wealthy family. And when I first started my channel, that was pretty much exclusively what I was doing. I was at a period in my life that was like just post COVID, and I had some savings, and I was also close to my parents and had that support. And even it was tremendously hard to get out content on a regular schedule at that time. But yeah, it makes a difference. Like, if you're starting in a place where you have a full-time job or even a part-time job, it's very hard to kind of get the momentum going, to be able to feed the algorithm in the way that it appears to want content. She continued. I finally found that going antique shopping and thrifting, etc., is something that I'm doing anyway. Love, and just filming regular life instead of creating concepts to film. I have found that thrift with me content has been something that has sort of filmed that space. It's tough for me because I don't usually talk when I go into the thrift store. I just sort of film content, and then that means that when I get home, I have to write a voiceover and then do a tremendous amount of editing to sort of make that make sense in my mind. Um, but yes, that is a thing that I'm doing anyway, and I love. So hopefully you guys enjoy the thrift with me content as well. Um, I think it sucks Lone Fox has set the standard for interior design videos, and now there's no financial room for smaller creators. I don't know that entirely, but it is sort of a thing. I mean, when they're talking about, having him get his space professionally shot at the end, and I mean, it does make a difference, and his product is beautiful. It's just, yeah, it's that's not realistically attainable for me financially at this time. Um, all right. If your goal is to make money, then you should focus on uploading really often, and YouTube will suggest you to the masses. Okay. The Twin said that the algorithm will give you a lot of recommendations if even if you take a week off in a live stream recently. Okay. Um, Collabing with another famous influencer. I'm not opposed to that. I am a smaller creator, so perhaps I could reach out. That maybe is a priority for me. I think if you reached out to Kathleen with a possible collab, she seems to do that quite often with other channels close to her size. I don't know Kathleen. Can you send me the information about Kathleen? That's interesting. Oh, Kathleen Illustrated. Oh, I actually do know her. So, okay, so this is the thing. You like kind of monitor creators that are around your same size. She blew up like big time just a little bit before I, sort of blew up a little bit. And okay, I'm interesting. Okay, I can see that. I know her channel is a little bit bigger than mine now, but we were kind of coming up at the same time. You're a Nate Burgess in the making, just be you. I appreciate that. Christina Lucas. McKenna and Lone Fox are good, but I catch myself looking forward to your content so much more. You have more creativity and style. I appreciate that. And that's the thing. I mean, I want to be aware in this conversation that again, I am proud of the content that I'm putting out, and I am proud that, I appreciate that y'all are responding to that. And I don't want to change, it's not like I'm here for the money and I'm just like looking to churn out something so that I can get a paycheck. Like that's not my goal here. It is important to me that I maintain a standard of quality in the type of video that I'm putting out. But it'd be nice if it paid the bills sometimes too. Um, um Take more time, I would wait. Okay, good to know. So yeah, see, that's the question here. We're hearing some people saying like more is better, and then other people are saying that they would take more time. Um, I think more specific content is stronger. I found for myself and learned from others that one strong video with the thumbnail, spot on description, etc., performs better than many videos. That's a good point. And it's funny, right before the kitchen video went live, that was the one that was sort of a big deal for me. I think I took a week off then because it was such a big edit. And then I apparently did the right mix of things to make it work. Sporadic good quality videos better than weekly poor ones, as far as I'm concerned. Great. I noticed some other people mentioned here. Oh, hold on, I just jumped here. The designs are mainstream. You're doing a good job of being creative. Can't find your designs in Target, and that's good to be unique. Again, that's the goal. I want to stick to myself and my own idea. Love your men's fashion, thrifts, and art creations, as well as your interior design aesthetic. Um, Caution regarding stress, pressure, and burnout. You being you is enough. I appreciate raw reality, authenticity. Fancy editing, not super important to me. Yeah, no, I do feel in the last couple months a sense of burnout in this. It's hard to kind of keep the pace going, and again, it's just I want to be living my life and not stressing every week about putting out a video. So maybe I'll take some time and kind of upgrade to my new camera quality and just sort of take some time. Maybe I'll step away for a minute and take some time to figure that out. Um, Between the interior design stuff, the paintings, the former fashion vids, and even the background as a dancer, I think you can build your channel as a creative channel rather than just home design. And that's the goal. I think for me, it's a question of like when people have asked me about incorporating dance more into my channel, that just feels okay. So it's a story time here. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. I really enjoyed that movie, but I also found it tremendously impactful because it felt so relatable. And it's like I definitely feel this thing inside of myself where it's like here I am in Boca. I was here for the first time 9 years ago, doing the same roles that I'm doing now. And it's a weird time jump to go from living in my house and having a dog and a boyfriend and a family and whatever, all of that, to then coming here and I'm like, it feels like I've jumped to something that is like entirely different. I'm a different version of myself entirely. And so it's a weird thing for me, to think about marrying those worlds together. It hasn't occurred to me how to make that connection just yet. Um, the algorithm has to figure out where to place your channel, so a wider range of concepts makes it difficult. Exactly. I imagine YouTube may not know. Crap, it keeps jumping. Whether to put you under art or home renovation. And that is a big thing. So when I started creating, I did a lot on Instagram back in the day, and it was when I was working as a group fitness instructor, and I was doing a lot of sort of like fitness modeling, like body kind of whatever. And I was still wanting to make dance, but like my takeaway from Instagram is you get to do one thing. If you're gonna do dance, then everything you do all the time has to be dance. And I didn't want to do that. That wasn't what I needed at that time. And so it just, but I think you're right. I think that keeping a certain level of consistency on the channel, is again, I apologize about the quality of this. Like this is this is pretty indicative of my life as a bad YouTuber. Like I should be having like a special camera setup and special Wi-Fi and all of that, but I do not. I'm just here in my hotel. I think you're doing a wonderful job with your channel. Please design your home for you. I appreciate that. I heard YouTube just wants to know that you're going to bring people to the platform on a regular basis to keep them engaged on watch time. So maybe it's that easy. I think the watch time does make a difference. It's not just about views; it is about watch time. And one of the suggestions there is in this comment was to make longer videos. And I do try. Like I find, as a viewer of other people on YouTube, I prefer to watch like a 20 to 30-minute video rather than a 10 to 15-minute video, just because you can sort of stay with one creator longer and you kind of, you don't have to jump around to multiple videos. So I am open to doing that whenever I can. It just depends on how much content I feel I can get out of the idea that I'm working with, and also how much time it's going to take to edit, because a 30-minute video, the editing process is quite a bit longer. Make sure Queenie is in the videos. I'll do my best on that. She actually is really camera shy. Like she'll be doing something great, and then I'll pull up the camera and she'll just like look away. So it's tough to get her on camera sometimes. I mentioned you to Waselpa. I don't know her. I will look at this chat afterward and write down some of these names that you're sending to me. You should reach out to her for your Chicago trip. She's from there, even though now she's in LA. I don't know if the algorithm cares as much about frequency so much as consistency. So you don't have to release a new video every week like clockwork. Yeah, that's interesting. So then in that case, like, do I continue to make art content and home renovation content, or do I need to pick a lane and stay in it? You made it public. Got to bring the BF on the channel now. Okay, so here's the other thing about that. So I mean, again, I'm not gonna like talk about my personal life too much. This guy that I am in a relationship with, he is not on social media at all. I mean, he is, and he's supportive of my life here and understands that this is what I do. But this is a thing that like it's interesting to see his life, and he feels very free and present in the moment because he's not tremendously focused on like this social media space. So I don't know that like I don't really think that he has much interest in being like an interior design power couple or whatever. And I think for me, it has been really rewarding with our time together to have that be something that is totally private. So I don't know that will happen. Sorry to disappoint in that way. All right, so I'm just gonna drop a couple more questions here and then we'll wrap this up. So I asked, what kind of videos have you enjoyed most? What am I not doing that you want to see? So one of the things that was mentioned in that comment that was so helpful to me from Sprig of Broom, she mentioned that she wanted to see more sort of casual talking to the camera content. Is that something that people want to see from me? Are you wanting to hear more about my ideas about interior design in general or about art in general? Like, what am I not showing you that you're like, let's pull at that more? And some of you have hit that in the comments already, but feel free to go more in depth there. And then the other thing I wanted to just sort of hop on with here, she had mentioned the thing, or the person that commented had mentioned this thing about showing longer after footage. Are there other quick, like, editing or pacing or title or thumbnail changes that I could make to make the experience better for you? Like, is there something that I don't know, sometimes I watch other creators' content and I'm like, "The pacing on this is weird, like, maybe you need to sort of move things along through here and then show us more here." Like, hit me up with thoughts about, if you've had feelings when watching my video about like, "Oh, this would make it better." Um, be sure to drop those for me as well. Um, yes, make art and reno content and in creative content is what I want to watch you do. Okay, so yeah, mostly creative content, less talking content. Upcycling and flipping, thrift store, antique, secondhand items to look more luxe and customized to your unique aesthetics. My favorite of your videos. Those are my favorite videos to make. I mean, that's really the thing. I can only turn those out so fast. So maybe taking a less aggressive schedule would be better for me. Also very accessible for the average viewer who wants to do similar DIYs at home. Really loving your home renovation series. This makes me think. So sometimes I talk to my parents about this. I think there are some videos that I've done, like for instance, the stained glass. Not everyone is going to hand paint MC Escher wallpaper on their bathroom. Not everybody is going to do the level of in depth projects that I do. So on my channel, are you looking more at projects that feel attainable that you could do yourself? Or are you into the projects that are like so crazy complicated and like blow your mind? Which do you prefer? Do you like a mix of both? Um, Someone said, yes, casual sometimes is good, less formal is fine. Okay. I've heard that once you have a presence in a niche and build a strong community there, then branching out is doable while building it up. Better to stick to one. That is something that I've noticed as well. When I was first creating on the platform, I was watching a lot of With Wendy, who is a sewing creator. And at that time, she was uploading weekly and she had that schedule going. And then I think with COVID, that shifted her schedule. And now she has a child and a family, and she's much less regular in her uploads, but she already had like millions of subscribers, so she can kind of do that now. So yeah, it's a question of kind of like when you build up, like um, how that works. Oh, Casey Sauls. Hi, Casey Sauls. Um, YouTube show me your renovation content. That's what I like. And I was like, what? Oh, so yeah, renovation. Casey Sauls, my friend from college, likes renovation content. Hi, Casey. Um, and other people sometimes like to do is queue up content in advance. So if you can break potential longer videos into, say, a 10-minute video each week, might help with the burnout. That's a great idea. Thank you so much for that one, Elsie Jean. Yeah, I think that's something. I that's another thing is when I felt good about my upload schedule, I try to shoot a video a week in advance and then have the next week to edit while I'm working on the next project. That doesn't always shake out that way, and so sometimes I end up doing the project and editing in the same video or in the same week, which is not always easy. Advice for people like us who don't own and can't renovate. I can think about that. I've been watching a lot of Alexandra Gator's content, and she focuses a lot on rental things in Toronto. And that was a whole period of my life where I was a renter and thinking more about that. I can I'll think on that if there's a way that I can translate some ideas to help you all out, because I know how that goes. I do like talking. Just meant any creative endeavor you undertake is what I'm interested in, what you can do. Okay. Regarding Lone Fox, it's enjoyable to see how he other works in other people's rooms too. It allows one to see not only how his style translates into other lifestyle needs. Yes, that is something that I was thinking about doing. I maybe will be doing in my parents' house some. It's just logistics of figuring out, how to make that happen. But I am definitely interested in doing that. Focus more on what your favorites are and do them well rather than chasing a trend. You speed up the work a lot, maybe slow it down for a longer video. Yeah, that is something that I find, again, with the way that I watch content, I tend to consume things very quickly and I'm like, ready to move on. Like clearly I'm a little hyperactive and caffeinated here. So yeah, I do tend to be a little bit quick in my edits, but I have gotten that feedback before. And so I will note that for sure. I noticed in the background of one of your videos a beautiful Chinese style lamp. My mom wanted to see more of it. We'd love to see more of your items and decorating items. Yes, I know which lamp you're talking about. That's in my atrium. Eventually, I'll be doing a video on that room more, and so I'll probably discuss it then. Pick that up at a time that I was maybe not doing a lot of like thrift with me content. But yeah, it's a fantastic lamp. I got that at the REISSUED for $25, I think. Um, Definitely Reels on TikTok can bring a lot of subscribers. You can focus on different key ideas. Um, yeah, so that's another thing too is I'm not on TikTok. I don't want to be on TikTok. Reels on Instagram for me for a while. I actually was part of their like paid program to produce reels that way. Um, they stopped on hit like millions of views with short form content on YouTube. So it's again, and it's hard. I feel like short form content, I can get an edit done those in about 30 minutes to an hour, but it's just editing, and I don't know. I don't feel passionate about short content in the way that I do about long form content, but I am trying to make an effort there because I know that that can be helpful. Curious if you like to cook. It's also creative, but that would be going off into yet another creative direction. Cooking to the side. I am not opposed to cooking. It's just, again, I feel like I'm balancing a lot of different things right now. So that has not been a top priority for me, but I'd like to learn more. Um, for Atlanta, Georgia people, it's very helpful to see store recommendations from you. Yeah, I am happy to provide those. When I start traveling, to Chicago and to other places, I'm open to store recommendations from you as well, and I'm happy to do some thrift with me's there and to check out that as well. I'm a fan of XM McKenna, but I think you can really tell how a weekly upload schedule of constant renovation content started to take a toll. I'm all for supporting creators taking the time to do what they want. Yeah, I think I've noticed with some creators that I watch, you see them go through periods where their content starts to feel a little forced or a little bit tired, and they just seem down and you don't know why. So I don't want to slip into a time like that in my life. I want to keep my content positive and purposeful as well. Um, watch renovation videos are like 45 minutes of wind chimes and panning shots with occasional voiceover, so a slow burn isn't always bad. Noted on that. I'm hoping that when I start using my higher quality camera, that I will be feeling more confident to make my videos a little bit more cinematic in that way. Like I actually really enjoy with Rachel Matsky's videos. She does these kind of like sort of establishing shots of, they're very autumnal because that's kind of her vibe. And I have been enjoying that. So I think there's a way I can kind of pad out a runtime in that way, but also create something that feels a little bit more cinematic for you all as well. A mix of aspirational and inspirational, like for the IKEA hack blind video. That was something that I needed to do in that room anyway. McKenna's vlogs could be a model, some of what you're doing this week versus Reno video. Yeah, I don't follow her content that much. I probably should. I will start watching that a little bit as a reference. Um, I don't know that I want to vlog my life, but maybe that will be helpful. I don't know. I love Rachel. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of her content lately. I think like she's a great example for me as someone that like I don't know that she's like the best maker, but her videos are so entertaining and her aesthetic, like every shot is like well lit and her is beautiful. Like she really is selling you like you want to be in a part of her world and her life. And she's so funny too. I don't feel like I have that going for me. Like that's a very unique skill. Um, Love to see a retrospective video of your house, where you started, what you've accomplished, what's next, your master plan. So I do have videos coming up. My last video of this year is going to be a retrospective of all of the projects that I've done this year across the board on my channel and some kind of behind the scenes stuff. And then I'm going to start the new year by doing a full tour of my house and talking about what's upcoming. I'm always happy to do those videos. Those are relatively easy for me to put out. ASMR is a concept to utilize because you have to worry less about voiceover. People love it. ASMR requires really high quality audio, which I don't know with my new microphone how great it's going to be, but we'll try. From the mind of Christine McConnell, posts once a month. Like, I mean, she's making a lot of her content is off of YouTube as well, and she's making probably more money from that because she is charging a subscription fee. I think maybe commercially packaging your content would help. Doesn't mean you have to change your aesthetic, but the retrospective comment makes sense. just kind of package things for people. Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. I think it's hard for me it just doesn't, it's just not how my mind works in that way. Again, it's a self-editing thing that goes into that. Um, I would you say like your more focused content or even the kitchen trend retrospective is alternate content that isn't entirely focused on full room renovations? Absolutely. Um, Gotcha. I think your unique style and perspective that's so engaging. Try not to exchange that for more views. Focus on your passions, and we'll watch. Absolutely. Another option, if you can't do big practical projects while you're traveling, you could do some digital art videos since the equipment is more portable. I don't have much experience in digital art, so I don't know. I mean, I think that even when I'm traveling, I can bring some like simplistic supplies for me, or even source things. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what that will look like. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. I really appreciate all of your feedback here. And again, I'm gonna go through in the chat. I'm gonna recap here and write down some names and some ideas and all of that. I really, really appreciate um, this was really helpful for me. Again, I'm not getting a lot of feedback on the actual like day-to-day running of my channel. So it's nice to hear this from you all. Also, if you missed the live and are watching this video after the fact, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments as well. I do read all of the comments. I try to respond when I can. So I would appreciate that as well. Again, impromptu here. Thank you for hopping on at the last minute. I really appreciate y'all watching, and I will check in with you guys soon. Bye.